In the last 12 months, India's defense technology has taken some big steps forward. INS Mahendragiri is bringing stealth, sensors and networked systems to the sea. Rustam is giving the forces an unmanned eye that can stay aloft for hours. And INS Malwan is designed to hunt submarines in shallow coastal waters. How do you stop a swarm of drones? That is where Bhargavastra comes in. India's indigenous counter-drone system is designed to detect and deal with unmanned aerial threats, including multiple drones approaching a protected area. But the threat is not always in the sky.
Peace for WION, the world is one.
Hello there. This is Race to Power, your window to all political events and news that shape the day on WION The World is One. Welcome to the show. I'm Eric Njoka.
And I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Coming up on the show tonight, Trump's economic D-Day on Iran has stirred the cup. Tehran has warned countries against cooperating with the United States in its economic pressure against Tehran, vowing to counter sanctions through multilateral capabilities.
The United States and Canada find themselves in a bitter trade war after Washington imposed 50% tariffs on about $20 billion worth of Canadian goods, and Ottawa vowed to retaliate dollar for dollar.
And here in India, Maharashtra's Chief Minister has advanced the state's cabinet meeting to Monday before holding talks with the Mahayuti leaders at Varsha. The revised schedule has fueled political speculation, though the government says it is aimed at coordination and tied to his Tuesday's engagement.
All that and more coming up shortly. Plus, be on standby for today's verdict. Let's begin with a global pulse check.
Well, the physical war between the United States and Iran may be on the back burner for now, but Washington has now deployed a different kind of warfare. Trump and the American administration are calling this the economic D-Day for Iran as the country threatens the most intense wave of sanctions on Iran.
But the question is this: with Iran dealing with a history of sanctions already, will the latest move from US change enough to subdue the Iranian leadership into an agreement with Trump? Let's begin with the latest Trump post on Truth Social. Instead of a long rant, the US president has the utmost, or at the moment, put out a single statement, and I quote, "Iran is completely collapsing." This, of course, is in reference to the fresh wave of economic sanctions that the US has planned to further crumble Iran economically.
Well, Iran has been bracing for the sanctions, remember, for days now, issuing a series of strongly worded warnings and threatening retaliation. It has said that if the economic war continues, not a single drop of Iranian oil will be exported, neither through the Strait of Hormuz nor from anywhere in the Persian Gulf. Iran's top national security official has also suggested that Tehran still has more cards to play. In fact, the Iranian Foreign Minister Sayyed Abbas Araghchi says the bullying under President Trump is no different from that which happened under previous American administrations. Remember, Iran has lived under US sanctions for decades now, since 1979, but the country's top leadership appears to be looking at a shift in historic alliances on two fronts. That's strengthening the relationships that exist and smoothing your way out and any wrinkles in the historically complicated ties.
Just days after Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan signed the Mecca Agreement, reports suggest Iran has received an invitation to join the new security alliance. Following several reports, Iran's foreign ministry confirmed that doors have been opened for negotiations.
We have not received a formal invitation, but suggestions have been made for negotiations with these countries for the overall security of the region.
Secondly, Iraq has proposed a unified security coordination council with Iran and Saudi Arabia, which is essentially aimed at rebuilding trust between the regional rivals. Iraqi National Security Advisor Qasim al-Araji told state television that the initiative seeks to address what he called a crisis of confidence between Tehran and Riyadh.
So for Iran's leadership, the outlook is not just about bearing the brunt of economic sanctions. It is now about retaliation. This is Iranian leader MB Ghalibaf's latest post on social media. It is a poster with a caption, "Make America hungry again. You cannot cover up defeats with false claims." The poster shows data on how many people face hunger in the United States, including 16 million children. The post also has a list of sources cited in a swipe taken at the Trump administration.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump's administration says it aims to sever every economic lifeline that is sustaining Iran in what officials have warned will be the toughest sanctions campaign ever seen.
The threat, if followed through, would mean putting China, Iran's biggest trade partner, squarely in the crosshairs of U.S. sanctions.
Well, that would be a risky proposition for Washington due to the likelihood of severe blowback from Beijing. So much so that some analysts doubt that the Trump administration's measures set to be announced on Monday will match its rhetoric in scope or severity. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has warned that countries fearful of breaking ties with Iran should not discount the cost of testing Washington. Any American pressure campaign that excludes China would be necessarily limited in scope given the outsized importance of Beijing and Tehran's economic ties.
China reported $9.96 billion in two-way trade with Iran in 2025, a figure that does not include some $31.2 billion in Iranian oil shipments, according to the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission. Until now, the Trump administration's Iran sanctions regime has targeted only a handful of relatively minor China-based entities. In April, the Trump administration sanctioned Hengli Petrochemical, or Dalian Refinery, one of China's largest independent refineries, commonly known as teapots, of its alleged purchases of Iranian oil.
Well, the Trump administration also imposed sanctions on 4 firms in Hong Kong in May this year, followed by measures in August targeting 6 China and Hong Kong-based shipping lines. Washington has so far left Chinese financial institutions, widely viewed as a key node in Iran's oil trade, untouched. Iran, on its part, has threatened to retaliate against the countries that support these American measures.
America, the America that was supposed to come to help the Iranians, is using every means available to punish the Iranians simply for one reason, because of their resistance to pressure on their national independence, sovereignty, and dignity. In this regard, the necessary warnings have certainly been given and are being given, because any kind of cooperation with America in advancing its aggressors' actions against Iran will certainly have its own consequences.
For Trump, invoking Beijing's ire would risk not only economic retaliation, but also unraveling efforts to destabilize U.S.-China relations only weeks before the U.S. president is due to host Chinese leader Xi Jinping at the White House. Trump's scheduled summit with Xi on September 24th will be their second face-to-face meeting aimed at lowering the temperature in U.S.-China relations since Washington launched its war on Iran in late February and Trump's visit to Beijing in May.
While the Trump administration could potentially make it more challenging and expensive for China to continue its economic support of Iran, it is unlikely to be able to stop Beijing outright if it is determined to maintain its ties. Many are questioning the effectiveness of the new round of economic penalties, but also, will they change Iran's behavior? That's the big question, remember, because Tehran appears to believe that it can outlast America.
Dr. Charles Kupchan is a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR. He's now joining us live on the broadcast. Doctor, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for making time for us. Who do you think is more isolated here? Is it America or Iran? And will these economic sanctions work?
Well, clearly Iran is more isolated than the United States economically and diplomatically. I think what we're seeing here is really Plan C by the Trump administration. Plan A was topple the regime. It didn't work. Plan B, bomb the regime into submission. It didn't work. Now we're at Plan C, which is try to increase the economic pressure on Iran to back down and make a deal that Donald Trump can live with. Part of the problem is that Iran has been under economic sanctions for years, and it has found various kinds of workarounds, some open, some covert, to trade with its neighbors. Some of those linkages are going to be shut down. We already saw the United Arab Emirates say no more financial or trade transactions with Iran. But can this really succeed in turning off and cutting off any links between Iran and its neighbors, Iran and China? I'm doubtful that we're really going to make a big difference here.
So, Dr. Charles, help us understand this then. Do you then think that sanctions as an American foreign policy against Tehran has really become a rusted weapon now, considering the fact that, Iran has been able to withstand these sanctions? Yes, its economy has been impacted. Yes, it has, economically been isolated more than America. But do you think that as a foreign policy, it's not really as effective as perhaps it was during the time of, say, President Jimmy Carter?
I think we've learned from a large number of historical cases that sanctions are complicated and they don't really work as intended. Look at what's happened to Russia, right? After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the United States and its European allies effectively unplugged Russia from the Western economy, broke off trade ties, broke off financial ties. Well, Russia has succeeded in reorienting its trade, in looking south and looking to China, and the strangulation of Russia economically hasn't worked. Iran is a somewhat different case because it's more isolated, and what the United States is doing now is going to China and Turkey and Pakistan, and to some extent India. These are countries that trade with Iran, saying we're going to punish you if you keep trading with Iran or helping them with financial transactions. But as you were just saying in your report, China, biggest trading partner of Iran, I think Trump is going to be very reluctant to throw the book at the Chinese if they continue trading with Iran at a time at which Trump is attempting to forge a good constructive relationship with Xi Jinping. And as you mentioned, Xi Jinping will be here in Washington in a month's time.
All right, let's wait and see how that relationship goes, or how the economic D-Day will unfold after America announces it. Dr. Charles Kupchan, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Well, all right, from the United States, let's move to the UK now.
Barely 4 weeks into his tenure as Prime Minister of Britain, Andy Burnham has caused a major heartburn in the Kremlin and gone much farther in supporting Kyiv than his predecessor, Keir Starmer.
During his maiden visit to Kiev on Ukraine's Independence Day, Andy Burnham seemed undeterred by Russian allegations of hindering peace. He dismissed Russian threats as outrageous and extended his unequivocal support to Kiev. In fact, reports also indicate that the UK will share the blueprint of the Scalp missile with Ukraine, adding an entirely new dimension to the war.
And despite Russia's outrageous threats to my country, we will continue our support for Ukraine's defence. I know you need more help to protect your skies and your civilians. I know how hard the winters have been and the need to be ready this year when the nights draw in.
The Scalp is a joint French-UK production cruise missile with a range of 250 kilometers launched from an aircraft. The Scalp flies very low in order to avoid early radar detection and detonates its warheads closer to the target. It is considered an ideal weapon for penetrating hardened bunkers and ammunition stores like the ones used by Russia. Moscow, on its part, has already warned the United Kingdom of adding fuel to fire and far-reaching consequences. Days after recalling its envoy from Britain, the Kremlin declared its intention to target all such sites where these missiles will be produced.
Our armed forces are carrying out the necessary work, gathering the relevant intelligence to identify the production sites of such missiles and other military equipment, and taking measures to destroy these sites.
The war of words over missile blueprints assumes significance given the timeline of this war. Britain has been supplying Scalp missiles to Ukraine since 2023. It did not allow Ukraine to use these missiles to strike inside Russia until 2024. Once the Biden administration allowed its missiles to be used outside the Ukrainian border, even the UK allowed Kiev to use the Scalp for deep strikes inside Russia. However, till date, American and European countries have only shared weapons with Kiev, not the technology behind it. The implications of this may not be limited to the Russia-Ukraine war alone. UK's military tech aid for Ukraine could result in Russia doing its own bit for Iran in the war against the US, and that may have a significant bearing on the US-UK ties, which have been anything but stable under Donald Trump.
From the relationship in Kyiv, Ukraine and Britain, let's now talk about the relationship between America and Canada. Good friendships rarely break. They overcome the odd misunderstandings, but once things go south, they mostly stay there. US and Canada have been those two friends who have been joined at the hip throughout 20th century, culturally, economically, and geographically.
Well, that friendship is now going through a sour phase, Eric, because open borders and open trade have been the hallmark of this relationship. But under Donald Trump and his tariff threats, this great friendship is now turning into a bitter enmity.
Now, Canada will match Washington's new tariffs dollar for dollar in order to protect Canadian workers, farmers, families, and businesses. Let me be clear. We take this step reluctantly. Reluctantly because we recognize that some of these measures will raise costs and reduce choice for Canadians. Reluctantly because we recognize that some U.S. companies and some U.S. states are innocent bystanders in a dispute that they did not want. Reluctantly because this trade dispute is preventing Canada and America from doing so much good that we could do together.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's announcement of dollar-for-dollar retaliatory on U.S. following the collapse of trade talks stands out for two things. First, the expiration at dealing with once super-friendly U.S. under Trump. Secondly, the realization that retaliatory tariffs will hurt his people as well. For Trump, tariff threats have been the tentpole of his foreign policy in second term. He has let down allies, created new adversaries, and above all, conveyed to the world that America can go back on its word.
But when it comes to China, Trump is more than willing to soften his stand, understanding Chinese leverage in rare earths and supply chains. However, when it comes to Canada, he has been doubling down. Following Mark Carney's remarks, Trump took to Truth Social to claim that Canada wants to take advantage of being a U.S. state without being one. Trump realizes that as far as Ottawa is concerned, he is in the position to call the shots. In fact, US tariffs that took effect after the collapse of the talks impact $20 billion, or nearly 5% of Canadian exports. Trump also announced hiking of tariffs of Canadian steel and auto to 50% from the 1st of January next year. Now, for Ottawa, that increases the costs significantly, considering that 70% of its $410 billion exports are to the United States.
The US, on its part, seems unperturbed with threats of Canadian tariffs, despite analysts warning of the trickle-down costs for American households and small businesses. The Trump administration feels Carney will eventually back down.
I think you're going to see Mark Carney come to the table very, very quickly, because it's going to be devastating for his country.
While both sides continue to refer to each other as friends, at least for now, even if they eventually reach some sort of middle ground in the near future, the scars will clearly remain for a long time. Transgressions in close relationships might be forgiven for the sake of saving it, but they're rarely forgotten.
Well, probably.
Well, from the US-Canada relationship, let's talk about the US-South Korea ties now. The United States has pulled back from another major military exercise with South Korea, raising fresh questions about deterrence on the Korean peninsula, as well as the real reason behind America's actions.
South Korea's Marine Corps say the United States has cancelled next month Sangyeong amphibious landing exercise, citing limited U.S. troop availability due to the war in Iran. This latest decision comes just days after Washington shortened its annual Ulchi Freedom Shield exercise with South Korea. The drill was originally scheduled for 11 days. Instead, it ended after 5 days, with some field training scaled back.
President Donald Trump argued that the exercises were costly and sent what he called an inappropriate hostile message toward North Korea. That time, he also cited South Korea's refusal to help in the Iran war as the reason.
I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no thanks. And I said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange.
However, many global analysts say the reported shortage of American troops and weaponry is the real reason for Donald Trump's decision. And the timing of these decisions matters on another account. Remember, the American view on peninsular security is important.
Also remember, North Korea remains heavily armed with nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, and after the US-South Korean drills were reduced, North Korea fired 10 short-range ballistic missiles, essentially a reminder that Pyongyang has not responded to Washington's gesture with a clear of de-escalation.
Well, these drills are designed to keep American and South Korean forces practiced, coordinated, and ready to respond together. Repeated cancellations or reductions can save resources and potentially create space for diplomacy with North Korea, but they can also raise questions about readiness. South Korea, remember, needs American security to counter Kim Jong-un.
President Lee Jae-myung has repeatedly pushed for greater military independence for South Korea, including eventually bringing wartime operational control fully back to Seoul. But now his political standing is weakening. A new Real Meter poll puts Lee's approval at just 40.2%, which is a new low since he took office and the 6th consecutive week of decline. His disapproval rating climbed to 56.9%. The survey of 2,026 voters was conducted from August 18 to the 21st. Real Meter attributed the decline to growing public distrust, not just to domestic concerns such as housing policies, but security concerns as well, following the scaling back of the joint military exercises by President Trump.
Well, with that, it's time for a short break on Race to Power. We will be back quickly with all the news and analysis from the other parts of the world.
what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their home. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
Welcome back to Race to Power on WION World is One. We are glad you're watching. Time now for our next segment, Asia Watch.
In an interesting turn of events, senior Pakistani leader and Jamiat Ulema-e-Islam chief Maulana Fazlur Rahman took a swipe at Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir. Rahman reminded the military establishment of its humiliating defeat and surrender in the 1971 war against India.
The JUIF chief also warned that continuous oppression and bloodshed could lead to fresh geographical changes in the region. Addressing a convention in Peshawar, Rahman questioned the military's chest-thumping and tall claims at a time when Pakistan is reeling under immense public suffering. Hitting out at the army chief Asim Munir, Rahman recalled how, in December of 1971, the Pakistan army surrendered to India just a day after then-President Yahya Khan made a grand declaration of fighting until the end. The 13-day war ended with a surrender of around 93,000 Pakistani military personnel in Dhaka, paving the way for the fall of Pakistan's eastern wing and the birth of Bangladesh.
Well, drawing a parallel between the military's historic claims and its present-day conduct, the JUIF chief questioned why the public is being subjected to severe hardships while the establishment remains insensitive to their misery. He also warned that continued oppression and bloodshed could lead to fresh geographical changes in the region. Now, the timing of Rahman's remarks on Munir is significant. Remember, just last week, Pakistan passed a new Defence Act. Under the Act, Asim Munir now has sweeping authority over the country's armed forces, including the power to retire, discharge or retain personnel and to alter prescribed retirement limits.
The legislation follows Pakistan's 27th constitutional amendment enacted in November last year, which radically reorganized its military command. Meanwhile, Pakistan remains on the boil after protests in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Demonstrations are now gathering momentum in Sindh. Political groups there have taken to the streets against proposals for new provinces and projects that they say threaten the region's land, water and resources. Activists allege that over 100 Sindhi political activists are currently missing or are allegedly being held by Pakistan security and intelligence agencies. Families and rights groups have raised concerns over alleged torture, intimidation and forced disappearances and other forms of mistreatment.
All right, let's get a perspective on what has been happening here between the two men. Adil Farooq Raja is joining us. He's a journalist as well as former military officer in the Pakistani Army. He's joining us from London. Major Adil, good evening. Welcome to WION once again. Good to have you back. Can I start by asking you what you think of what Maulana Rahman has been saying against Asim Munir? And this is not the first time that he said it. In the past, he's also challenged him to leave the uniform aside and join electoral politics, electoral battles, if he really wants to influence politics in Pakistan. Why is he so against Asim Munir?
Well, Sharia, thank you for having me. You know, in Pakistan's political dynamics, the current situation is that if you want to gain public sympathy and if you want to retain the public political space and if you really want a serious political following, you have to call a spade and you have to call out the Pakistani military establishment's unconstitutional hold on to power, and you have to call out their atrocious behavior and their past mistakes. So that is what Maulana Fazlur Rahman is doing currently in the political environment. And then the second important question should be that how is he getting away with it? Well, he's getting away with it because in Pakistan power dynamics, it has always been the military and the mullah alliance which has been ruling the country, and the formation of a mullah military alliance have been the reason the Pakistani establishment has been able to maintain their hold onto power in a country with different ethnicities. But that is the reason exactly why the part of the alliance, which is the mullacracy, Maulana Fazlur Rahman represents that part of the alliance, and that is why he can get away with what he is saying. Whatsoever he's saying is the truth, absolute truth. But why he's getting away with it? Well, I've just given you the reason. And why is he saying what he's saying now, irrespective of being a very traditionally old part of the old guard, part of the Mullah military alliance? Well, because the present military regime led by Field Marshal Asim Munir wants to introduce radical reforms. Arak has just mentioned about the Defense Services Act. Well, the next step coming in, the alleged 28th Amendment, which is coming in, is bringing the formation of 20 new provinces. And nobody wants that. Nobody even in the mullacracy wants that.
Mr. Raja, let me ask you this. Now that we are talking about Mr. Maulana's criticism and claims against the military, he says that the army is insensitive to the people's cry or misery. Do you think this is true? And why did he not mention the establishment? Because the establishment has also been insensitive to people's cry.
Well, Eric, obviously the army does not have to go out every 5 years and get votes from the people, and the army military higher command does not constitute of public elected officials, and obviously they are not part of the democracy. So that is why they are insensitive to the public sentiments. But having said that, previously in the last 78 years, rather 75 years, what we have seen is that the army is, which is the controlling element of the Pakistani establishment, has always returned just before the point of no return. But in this particular instance, in the current last 3 years, what we have witnessed is that they have gone well beyond the point of no return. And there is obviously no return because of the policies being pursued and because of the constitutional restructuring being done by the Pakistani military establishment. They have already surpassed the point of no return. So their partners, the traditional partners, for example, in this case, the clergy, is now, speaking against the military.
All right, we'll leave it there. Major Adil, thanks very much as always for joining us on WION and sharing your perspective and helping us understand what's been going on inside Pakistan.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Let's talk about Bangladesh, but this on a different note. Suspense has deepened over Bangladesh Prime Minister Tariq Rahman's visit to India. Bangladesh's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Humayun Kabir, said there is no rush for the Prime Minister to visit New Delhi.
Well, he said Dhaka wants good ties with India, but it will not compromise on its national interests. Humayun Kabir said a decision on Rahman's visit would be taken after discussions between the two countries and the necessary preparations whenever they are completed. Speaking to a television channel, Kabir said, and I quote, "On your question regarding India, whether we will go or not, we will go. Why won't we go? We will go when the timing matches with our national interest. There is no hurry. We will keep talking."
India has invited Bangladesh Tariq Rahman for a bilateral visit. He has also been invited to attend the outreach session of the BRICS summit, scheduled to be held on September 12th and 13th in New Delhi. The visit is being seen as important for improving ties between India and Bangladesh. Ties between the two countries have strained since Sheikh Hasina fled to India after being ousted from power in 2024. Bangladesh has repeatedly sought Hasina's extradition. Kabir said the issue is also part of the ongoing discussions between the two countries. India has said it is reviewing Bangladesh's request in accordance with the legal process.
Well, there was a fresh escalation in tensions between the two countries recently. This after Sheikh Hasina made a virtual media address in New Delhi on the 5th of August. During that address, Hasina said that she would return to Bangladesh in December this year. Dhaka strongly objected to that statement, saying it had hurt the sentiments of the Bangladeshi people. Dhaka also said that such public appearances by Sheikh Hasina from India could undermine efforts to improve relations between the two countries. However, the government of India has clarified that it had no role in organizing the event.
Meanwhile, India has proposed a new settlement nodal agency charge of 0.05 rupees per unit on electricity supply to Bangladesh. The fee is aimed at covering grid operations and the settlement of cross-border power transactions. The proposed fee follows a decision by India's Central Electricity Regulatory Commission to introduce SNA charges for cross-border electricity trade. The arrangement covers 1,160 megawatt of Bangladesh's electricity imports from India. The proposed rate is in line with SNA charges already applied to electricity traded between India and Nepal and also Bhutan. If Bangladesh were to import the full 1,160 megawatt covered by the proposed agreement continuously, the SNA fee would amount to around 5,800 rupees per hour based on the proposed rate.
With that, let's shift our focus now to what has been happening here in India. Political buzz has been building up in Maharashtra after Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis advanced the state cabinet meeting from its usual Tuesday schedule to Monday next.
The cabinet meeting has already been held this afternoon, but the political focus now shifts to a meeting expected at Fadnavis's official residence, Varsha, involving Deputy Chief Ministers Eknath Shinde and Sunetra Pawar, senior Mahayuti leaders and alliance coordinators. The cabinet meeting was advanced by a day, the official reason being Fadnavis's engagement outside Mumbai on Tuesday. The meeting has now concluded, but the Chief Minister is expected to hold a broader Mahayuti coordination meeting, bringing together the three alliance partners, the BJP, Shiv Sena and NCP.
The official agenda is governance, coordination between the allies and setting future priorities. But the timing is what has triggered attention. The Mahayuti government has been operating a three-party power-sharing arrangement since returning to power after the 2024 Maharashtra Assembly polls. And there's already been political discussion around a possible cabinet reshuffle, including questions over ministerial performance and the distribution of portfolios. The alliance equation also changed earlier this year after the death of Ajit Pawar, with Sunetra Pawar, his wife, becoming the deputy chief minister. So a meeting involving Fadnavis, Shinde and Sunetra Pawar, along with the senior leaders of all three parties, assumes significance.
The meeting also comes shortly after Fadnavis's recent visit to Delhi, which triggered speculation about a possible change in his political role. Fadnavis, however, has rejected that speculation and said he would remain in Maharashtra. At the same time, there has been continuing political buzz around a possible cabinet rejig. The BJP is the largest partner, while the Shiv Sena and NCP are crucial constituents of the state government. With the next phase of governance and political positioning taking shape, coordination over cabinet portfolios, ministerial performance and the alliance's future strategy becomes critical. There have also been periodic tensions and differences between the three parties over local politics, government decisions and political space. For now, there is no official confirmation that any such decision is being taken.
So the immediate question is whether this remains a routine Mahayuti coordination exercise or whether the leaders use the closed-door meeting to discuss bigger political issues. Will there be movement on a cabinet reshuffle? Will portfolios or ministerial responsibilities be discussed in that meet? Or will the meeting simply seek to smoothen the coordination between the three alliance partners?
All right, let's get more from our principal correspondent, Disha Yadav, who has sent us this story.
From here, the focus will be on what comes from the Varsha meeting and the dinner, which is expected to take place later tonight. Any word on the cabinet reshuffle, portfolio changes or allocation coordination will also be closely watched. For now, there is no official confirmation of any political change, but tonight's discussions could offer clues on Mahayuti's next move. This is Disha reporting from Mumbai for WION World is One.
Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi's Chatron Ki Gunj event in Pune has sparked a political slugfest between the ruling BJP and the opposition Congress party.
Well, the BJP has called this event a political comedy show, while the Congress claims that Rahul's appeal among India's youth has rattled the Bharatiya Janata Party. The event has snowballed into a full-blown war of words now, and it is the latest flashpoint between the two parties. Top BJP leaders, including Maharashtra's Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, and newly appointed National General Secretary Smriti Irani, lashed out at Rahul Gandhi, calling his stance on empowering women hypocritical. Both Fadnavis and Irani accused Rahul of double standards for talking about empowering women, even as the Congress itself opposed the government's push to implement 33% reservation for women in the parliament.
स्टेज पर आकर तो उन्होंने महिला अधिकारिता की बात कही, लेकिन महिलाओं को अधिकारिता देने का सबसे क्रांतिकारी कदम महिला आरक्षण बिल है, जिसको राहुल गांधी विरोध कर रहे हैं, जिसके खिलाफ वोट कर रहे हैं, महिलाओं को अधिकार देना नहीं चाहते। मैं ऐसा मानता हूं, खाने के दांत अलग है, दिखाने के दांत अलग है।
चूंकि कांग्रेस पार्टी के एक अहम नेता ने महिलाओं और महिलाओं के नेतृत्व के समर्थन की बात की है, मैं उनसे कहना चाहती हूं विनम्रता पूर्वक, कृपया प्रधानमंत्री जी की इस मुहिम को कि देश की महिलाओं को संसद में नेतृत्व करने के लिए 33% आरक्षण का बिल त्वरित रूप से लागू हो, इस प्रयास में प्रधानमंत्री जी का सहयोग करें।
The verbal exchange follows Rahul's student outreach program held on August 22nd in Pune. Speaking at the event, the Congress leader lashed out at what he called the Manusmriti mindset and urged women to smash patriarchy. Rahul also took a swipe at Prime Minister Narendra Modi over his remarks concerning female protesters at the Jantar Mantar. Taking exception to Rahul's remarks on Manusmriti, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath urged him to read up on Puranas to understand the text.
आप मनु पर या राम पर या भारत की विरासत पर टिप्पणी करते हैं। मनु को जानना है तो आप अथर्ववेद पढ़िए, सतपथ ब्राह्मण पढ़िए, मत्स्य पुराण पढ़िए, आपको सारी जानकारियां मिल जाएंगी।
Now, the Congress party has hit back. Congress leader and former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has described Fadnavis's statement a result of cognitive fatigue. In a post on X, Chidambaram reminded the Maharashtra Chief Minister that the Congress party had extended support to the Women's Reservation Bill in the Parliament. Apart from the debate over Rahul Gandhi's remarks, a separate row has erupted over the posters outside the Congress headquarters in New Delhi, portraying Rahul Gandhi as the real-life Batman. The posters feature the message, "The Silent Guardian, a Watchful Protector, LOP Rahul Gandhi, the real-life Batman."
The Congress has come out in support of the posters, calling Rahul Gandhi the superhero India needs, while the BJP has hit back, questioning if the Congress leader wants to be projected along the lines of a cartoon character from a comic series.
I don't know how appropriate that is, because that is a cartoon character from a comic series. Now, that is prone to interpretation by some set of people that, he's being projected as a cartoon character from a comic series. Now, if the Congress party believes that that is the appropriate way they wish to project their leadership, who's the leader of opposition in the country, then really it's for them to take a decision on it.
Now, the war of words encapsulates the battle for winning the narrative on India's youth and women, a space which is now seeing high-voltage political battles after the massive student protests in the national capital. The Congress sees in Rahul a leader connecting with the youth and women. The Bharatiya Janata Party sees political theatre in it. But beyond the competing narratives, the war of words only underlines India's increasingly combative politics.
Political temperatures are soaring in Karnataka. High drama unfolded outside the Vikas Soda today as BJP workers and senior party leaders staged a protest demanding the resignation of Planning and Statistics Minister B. Nagendra.
Well, the protest around Vidhana Sauda saw BJP leaders push towards the gates of the Vidhana Sauda, even as police personnel blocked their entry, leading to scuffles and tense standoffs at the barricades. The demonstration followed a call by Leader of Opposition R. Ashoka, who had earlier announced that the BJP would lay siege to the Vidhana Sauda to demand accountability. The BJP, remember, is demanding Nagendra's resignation for his alleged involvement in the Valmiki Corporation scam. The party has now called for a day-night dharna inside the State Assembly.
Today I discussed with all our MLAs, we decided day and night dharna. From now onwards, now this minute, we start the dharna, day and night dharna in the assembly till resignation of the Nagendra, who looted the Dalit amount in the treasury. That is the main agenda. That's why we decided today we started the dharna night and day.
Leader of Opposition R. Ashoka has alleged that 187 crore rupees from the Karnataka Dalit Valmiki Corporation was siphoned off from the state treasury. Further, he has accused the Congress party of using this money to fund its election campaigns in Karnataka and Telangana. However, the Congress party denies these charges and has instead accused the BJP of targeting Nagendra because he's a Dalit. The controversy dates back to 2024 when Valmiki Corporation's accounts superintendent Chandra Shekaran died by suicide, leaving behind a note alleging financial irregularities in the corporation. Later, a probe found that 89 crore rupees had been illegally transferred from its Union Bank account to various accounts, with the overall diversion of funds pegged at about 187 crore rupees. Nagendra, who was then the scheduled tribes welfare minister, resigned from the Sidramaiah cabinet in June 2024.
But earlier this month, Nagendra was re-inducted into Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar's cabinet and allocated the planning and statistics portfolio as part of the cabinet expansion in which 19 Congress MLAs were inducted as ministers. The BJP and the JDS have since stepped up protests demanding Chief Minister Shivakumar to sack Nagendra.
And for more details, our correspondent Siddharth MP has sent us these details with more on that story.
Karnataka's principal opposition party BJP has been demanding the resignation of Minister Nagendra, who has been re-inducted into Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar's cabinet. Several BJP leaders who were marching to the Vidhana Saudha today in Bengaluru, marching to the Legislative Assembly in protest today, were detained and taken into preventive custody by the police. BJP leaders also staged protests in different parts of Bengaluru, demanding the resignation of the Minister Nagendra. Minister Nagendra faced several allegations of corruption earlier in what is known as the Valmiki Corporation scam. It was alleged that the money from that particular corporation of the government was siphoned off into several bank accounts. It was transferred into several bank accounts. The CBI later filed a charge sheet after their investigation, and Nagendra, the former minister, was named in that. And later now, Nagendra is again inducted into the D.K. Shivakumar cabinet, which is why the BJP is protesting, saying that this is a minister who is tainted and who has also done injustice to the Dalits and the marginalized communities, which is why the BJP leaders are demanding his resignation and are putting pressure on D.K. Shivakumar's government. Of course, Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar has just run this government for a couple of months now after taking over from his predecessor, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. Siddharth MP, WION World is One.
A massive political row has erupted in Tamil Nadu over a viral video falsely claiming to show State Industries Minister S. Kirtana stepping out of a car in a Western outfit.
In a post on X, Kirtana called the controversy a reflection of a fragile and regressive mindset. In an indirect reference to DMK's Udaynidhi Stalin, Kirtana wrote that not much can be expected from followers of a leader with a track record of deeply derogatory remarks against women.
Kirtana denied that she was the woman in the video and questioned why it should have been an issue in the first place, even if she had been in it. Earlier, several social media users, including DMK supporters, shared a video of a woman in a short dress getting out of a car and questioned whether she was the industries minister Kirtana. Former BJP state president Tamilisai Soundararajan has come out in support of Kirtana. In a post on X, Soundararajan condemned the trolling of the TVK minister, saying political differences should never become an excuse to attack a woman's dignity.
The controversy is the latest in a disturbing trend of women becoming targets of political mudslinging in Tamil Nadu. Earlier this month, a war of words had erupted between the TVK and the DMK of a leader of opposition, Udaynidhi Stalin's derogatory remarks involving actor Trisha. A similar controversy had erupted over Trisha's presence at the Independence Day event in Chennai. The TVK minister in question, S. Kirtana, was elected from Sivakasi. In the 2026 Assembly polls, she has emerged as one of the most visible faces of the TVK government. Before entering electoral politics, she worked as a political consultant and campaign strategist. She is also the youngest minister in the VJ-led cabinet.
Is Iran going to collapse? Is President Donald Trump finally ending the war? Big questions with no clear answers. Iran is certainly more economically impacted and weaker than America. Yet President Trump's new D-Day sanctions may have become an old rusted weapon. For more than 40 years, Washington has tried to force Tehran to change through economic pressure. It began after the 1979 hostage crisis when President Jimmy Carter froze around $12 billion in Iranian assets. Then in the 1980s, US expanded trade restrictions. Then came sanctions targeting Iran's banks, oil industry, military, and their nuclear program. Bit by bit, the United States has managed to pressure Iran but never completely destroy it. America's biggest success, though, came before the 2015 nuclear deal. American and European sanctions cut deeply into Iranian economy and isolated its banking system. So is Trump going to win against Iran this time? Well, so far, he hasn't been able to. When Trump had pulled the US out of the nuclear agreement in 2018, it expected Iran to give in. But the regime did not. It suffered enormously, yes, but the regime survived. Now, Washington is trying again. Is Iran isolated? Well, not really. China can play spoiler in American strategy. You see, China is Iran's biggest oil customer, even under heavy American pressure. Vladimir Putin is also Iran's ally. Oman is not against Iran, and Iran has been reportedly invited to join the recent Mecca deal between Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey. An increasing number of countries are questioning why America must decide for them. So will these new sanctions hurt Iran? Yes. But will economic pain automatically bring political surrender? History reflects no. Essentially, the battle over Iran has become much more than Iran. It is now a battle of who gets to set the rules of the new world order, and clearly, America seems to be losing that power.
And on that verdict, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. Thank you very much for your time and for watching. American Joka. Namaskar.
Bye-bye.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout. In the last 12 months, India's defense technology has taken some big steps forward. INS Mahindragiri is bringing stealth, sensors and networked systems to the sea. Rustam is giving the forces an unmanned eye that can stay aloft for hours. And INS Malwan is designed to hunt submarines in shallow coastal waters. How do you stop a swarm of drones? That is where Bhargavastra comes in. India's indigenous counter-drone system is designed to detect and deal with unmanned aerial threats, including multiple drones approaching a protected area. But the threat is not always in the sky. Out at sea, India needs warships that can see first. Commissioned this year, Mahindragiri is the 6th Project 17A stealth frigate to join the Indian Navy. Mahindragiri's design is intended to reduce its signature, making it harder for an adversary to detect and track. Developed by the Aeronautical Development Establishment, Rustam is an indigenous family of medium-altitude, long-endurance unmanned aerial vehicles developed for the Indian Armed Forces. Commissioned in July 2026 at Karwar, INS Malwan is the second Mahi-class anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft to join the Indian Navy.